First, I want to tell you about a trip we took 2 weekends ago to Imtondere Seminary. Imtondere means peace in Chichewa. And we visited some friends there who have 3 children and are really awfully nice people. And from there we drove up to Mua, which is way up in the mountains, and then down into a valley, which is a leper colony. And the car, we took their car, and they had battery problems of some sort, and so we were constantly, Ron was constantly having to get out and push the car to get us started again. It was a pretty wild trip, but it was really very pleasant. The road, of course, was all dirt. There aren't too many paved roads in Malawi. There are, but we don't seem to hit them, evidently. And we had a very nice trip. Only thing is we came back with a dog and a duck, which I wasn't too happy about. We have a little puppy German Shepherd. They're called, someone says it's an Alsatian dog, but I'm not sure what that is. But it's very cute. It's a little girl. And we also bought a duck, which we killed 2 days later to eat. And it was really the toughest duck I've ever had. It wasn't gamey tasting, but it was awfully tough. I think it must have done a lot of walking before we got to it. And Imtondere also is near Mozambique, and so we stopped there and bought a big gallon of this delicious wine that they have there. And we've been told that there you can also hear the rebels fighting sometimes, but we didn't hear any, and I really did miss not hearing it. We really had a very enjoyable trip. Now I'm going to let Ron tell you about our trip to Zalanyama Forest Preserve, which is about an hour from here.
Hi, everybody. We've been to Zalanyama 2 times. Once a couple weeks ago, where we just went to see what the falls were like. And then this time we went up to have sort of a picnic with some other people from the biology teachers and the geography teachers from the Likuni Boys School and also Lilongwe. So we kind of had a big outing with a number of people. It was kind of fun. The road is all dirt all the way, and it's part sand and part rough. It's really like driving on a washboard. There's just ruts, constant corrugations that remind you of a washboard, and it shakes every bone in your body and every part in the car. It's a wonder the cars stay alive as long as they do out here. Anyway, it's about 35 miles from here, and we got to the place safe and sound. And you have to go over 2 rickety bridges that don't look safe enough to hold a bicycle, but somehow the cars go over them quite well. Even the lorries go over them. A lorry is a truck here. It's a British term, I think. Anyway, so we got there quite safely, and as we got to Zalanyama, where we had to hike up the mountain for about a half an hour, 45 minutes from where we parked the cars, there were baboons sitting on the rocks and quietly looking at us, wondering what we were doing, and we were trying to look at them. Tracy and Jennifer were making lots of noise to make sure they did not come any closer. They are quite scared of the baboons. Anyway, so as we got to the area, we had a picnic, and there's a falls about 100 feet high, I imagine, 75 or 100 feet tall. I'm not really good at judging heights, but I would say it's roughly that. And we went swimming down below. Our houseboys came along, or Elias and Bambo Azuzi came with us, and as we got there, Elias says, my heart is just, he said my head was spinning, and I thought he had a headache just before he left, and I thought I was referring to his headache, but he says no, it was not his headache. It was just that he was so joyful. He has never been here before, so he was so happy that he came to a place to see the different trees and the forest and the falls itself. And they were quite pleased. So they went swimming with us down the bottom of the falls, and the water had to be the coldest water I've ever been in. It was all mountain stream, and it really gave you goosebumps. And then we swam up to the falls and let the falls come down on top of us. It was like a cold shower. It was really great. Our Bambo Azuzi, our houseboy, his bathing suit had to be a discarded girdle. That's all I could think of. It looked for sure like some sort of panty girdle that had been discarded by someone, and he picked it up and is now using it as a bathing suit. But anyway, it was quite funny to see this. Next week, we plan to go up north to Kasungu for the weekend. One of the boys at the laboratory here, Nathan, is getting married, and my lab assistant has been his best friend for many years. They've gone to school together, and they've been his best friend, and he is going to be best man. And so we will go to the wedding. We'll try to record some of that music and send it to you, like we have of the on the reverse side. There's a game park up there, and we may see there's elephants in this park, I'm told, so we may see some elephants. And we will stay at Godding's house overnight. So this will be our first experience at sleeping overnight in one of the African villages. Goddings is making quite a big deal out of this, and he wants to make sure that he has the proper food and the proper bedding facilities, etc. We're going to bring our own sheets and blankets along.
We taped a ceremony that we went to, and I'll tell you more about that later. But the Mfumu, or the headman of the village where we went to see the ceremony, was very taken with Ron. And so last week he invited us to dinner, along with Elias and Bambo Zuzi. Not to dinner, but to lunch. And this was really an interesting experience. It's the first time we'd ever been to an African village for lunch, certainly. We all sat on chairs out in the shade of one of these mud huts. And then finally a time came for us to eat lunch. And Ron and I and Elias and Bambo Zuzi went into this hut. But the Mfumu wouldn't come in with us. He wouldn't eat with us because it was supposed to be high honor for him to let us eat by ourselves. We felt kind of bad about this. The hut was made of mud, and it was round. It had no windows in it, so it was dark until you got used to it. And of course the door was open so you could have some light. And it was had a round roof, a thatched roof made out of straw, with a table, and then we had our 4 chairs, and then a big bed with this matting over it, no springs at all. And then they just slept right on the matting over this wooden bedpost. And we were served chicken, which was really an honor. We felt badly about this also because the Africans are lucky if they get meat once or twice a week, and then to serve us chicken, you know, when they didn't even eat any. We felt very bad, but it was delicious. It had curry and it's a kind of a tomato sauce. And then they also eat nsima with this, and nsima is kind of like stiff mashed potatoes or mushy stiff rice. And they eat it with their hands. They roll it into a ball, and then they dip it into the juice from the meat. And so everything was eaten with our hands. And we washed our hands in a little bowl before we ate, kind of like Japanese style. And then we ate, and then we washed our hands again. And it was really a very nice experience. So Ron invited the chief and his wife and his family to come eat with us here next week. So I have no idea what we're going to serve them, but it should be very interesting. Also, I'm now working kind of part-time, as well as helping Ron the dental clinic with the billing, which I'm not really doing such a fantastic job at, but I'm trying to be efficient. I'm also teaching a class with another nurse of 14-year-old girls. I teach 3 times a week just for an hour. And we're teaching them about child care and pregnancy and how to keep babies well. And after about 2 months of this nurse and myself and an African nurse and then 3 of these girls will be going out to the villages around this area to set up well baby clinics, to weigh the babies each week and try to keep them healthy, and to refer the very sick babies into the well baby clinic here at the hospital. And this is really needed. I've worked in the well baby clinics a few days, and it really breaks your heart to see these children who are Tamas's age, who weighs, Tamas must weigh 23, 25 pounds, and you see these 2-year-old babies weighing 9 pounds, 10 pounds, and about a third her size, with these little legs and these big stomachs, and it's very sad, and often you can't even get the mothers to bring them in to try to build up their strength, and many of them just die, and they refuse to accept that they're dying because they're not eating the proper foods. The reason they're dying is because their husband's been unfaithful to them or someone's put a spell on them. So it's a great deal that needs to be done in forms of education. in this way. Also, my Elias went and bought a shilling's worth of meat. Shilling's about 12 cents worth of meat. And for a shilling, you can buy any, you could buy the T-bone steak if you wanted to from the cow. You can buy whatever you want. You choose a portion of your cow, and they chop it off for you at the African market. And so what did he buy? He bought a shilling's worth of fat, because he likes the fat. And so, even here, there's a lot of education that needs to be done. They have the money to buy the meat, and then they buy the wrong part of the meat.
Anyway, while we've been here, I've been trying to collect some art objects, and we'll try to send some of the objects within our package for Christmas presents. And we have been able to buy some ivory carvings. The ivory carvings are hard to come by, and they are also quite expensive. But in addition, we've gotten some skins. I've gotten a skin of a kambuku skin, which is looks like a leopard skin. It isn't quite a leopard, but it's a cat anyway. We have a antelope skin and a couple other cat skins. These skins look like skunks. There aren't any skunks here in Malawi, or I don't even think there's any skunks in Africa. But anyway, they look like a skunk skin, but they're a lot larger. And but they're some species of cat, and no one's been able to tell me exactly what. But I've developed a relationship with the local medicine man. He comes in 13 miles, 15 miles every day to sell his medicines at the Likuni African market. And so I see him either every Wednesday or Saturday, and if he has a good skin, I will buy it from him. So by the time you come here, we may have some things to send back with you, and there's also to send back with us when we leave.